be in here somewhere.
Yo, I think we have some time. We could do it.
You want to do this now?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm down for that. And I do want to make this guy for sure. Like, I think he's going to be a fun-ass commander. Okay, so those are the two we made. Okay, so yeah, it's not a lot. I think he's in there. He should be in there. You see him? Did I miss him? No way.
No, he's right there. He's the bottom left, next to Xanathar.
Oh, yeah. It's just hard to see. Okay,
So,
cool. Azerik. This is the guy that enters and does the thing.
yeah.
So the thing is, as a card, he's amazing. As a commander, I think he's pretty poop.
Yeah, I think so. Even at most, he's just making 2/2s, and he's like just a 5/5. So as a commander himself,
Yeah, he's kind of poop, honestly. Uh, I think that when you put him in a zombie shell, he's a lot better. But like, yeah, as a commander, he's kind of poop. Okay, so the Osmodeus. This is the binding contract. If you would draw a card, it said exile the top card of your library face down. You could pay 3, draw 7 cards. Return all cards from exiled with Osmodeus, the Archfiend, to the owner's hand, and you lose that much life.
so it's kind of it's almost like a weird.
I don't like this card.
No, it's like kind of just
I don't like that. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
what's his face? The draw 7 dude, pay 7 life.
Yeah, but a really
But
bad.
like I said, he's
version
a
of it.
bad, weird version of him.
But I mean, you're still technically drawing cards at its value, and it's mono black. So like, I feel like it can't not at least be B. Like it's still doing a thing. Like it's still drawing. You know. Like even as bad as it is, like there's ways to mitigate the damage because like, you know, you just play like a Gary and you're like fine taking 100,000 life. You're a black deck, you know. So I feel like he's not the worst card in the world. I put him right at the middle of the road. He's much worse than Vilas, but like I'd put him like in B tier easily, like middle of the road for sure. Okay, so this one we probably have to look up a lot of these.
So when he enters the battlefield, you venture into the dungeon, and whenever he attacks, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield if you've completed a dungeon. There are a lot of there's a lot of venturing cards and a lot of ways to complete a dungeon, but he only reanimates small things, and he has to attack, and he's not.
Yeah, kind of like Alessia. And Alessia is a lot better.
And he's only a 3/3.
And Alessia has first strike, and it also plays red.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't like this guy really.
No.
I think he's better than this though, or they might be about the same, honestly.
Maybe.
They're both venturing. I think this guy's slightly better because there's stuff you could do with reanimating in Orzhov.
So next we have
the
Battle
first
Hammer.
Equipment is 0. Yeah. Each creature gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it, and then you can equip for 0 once per turn.
So I mean, it makes them kind of a little bit better because it's a free equipped, and there are a lot of really good equipments out there, and he also buffs. So he's like mid. I give him like mid tier, so he's probably between B and C.
Because the equipment matters deck kind of like has gotten really good.
But like, think of it this way: you play Argentum Armor, you get to equip it to him immediately, and he's buffed, and there you go.
Yeah, but these decks aren't very resilient if you're not drawing in the command zone is the thing. So I think it's C tier. Like I think Shram, like I think it's hard to argue a lot of the equipment commanders to be like higher than C tier unless they're innately drawing or protecting or have some broken effect. Like I think Shram is the only one that gets into.
But do you think he's You think he's not like he's the same tier as Reanimate Dude for after completing adventure? I don't know. Equipments on their own are still, even if you just have one good one, or I still think if you build just really good equipment.
Yeah, I guess I could.
I think he could just be, but I wouldn't say he's amazing. But
okay, is this the one that?
Let me see. It's the person with the arrow. First strike and reach. Whenever attacked, you put a +1 counter on it for each equipment attached to it. 1 mana, remove all +1 counters from her. It deals X damage to target attacking or blocking creature opponent controls, where X is the number of counters removed this way.
That's just too much work.
First strike and reach. Whenever it attacks, put a +1 counter on it for each equipment attached to it. Actually, no. Now I'm thinking about it, that might not be the worst, because you attack, you dump 5 counters on it, pay 1 mana to remove 5 counters to do 5 damage. The thing is, every time you attack, you don't have to remove the counters, so it goes like from 5 to like 10 to 15 to 20. And she's got first strike. So maybe it's like she's not amazing, but like I don't think she's all that bad.
Yeah, it's removal. She probably lands like there. This one is the one that copies spell?
Oh no, she's one though. Whenever she attacks, you choose a target creature you control and roll a d20.
And it makes a copy of it.
So she would be good if we had the blue one that lets you roll more than 1 dice, because that's almost Splinter Twin. But by herself,
There's Barbarian class.
Barbarian class is the one that lets you
roll with advantage. It's red. And then also whenever you roll it has more than just that.
Well, no, the thing is, the reason why you want the blue creature, because every time the pixie, because every time you copy the pixie, you get to roll another dice. So you go from
no, yeah, I know the Splinter Twin combo.
So
but
like,
I'm just saying, there is.
You have one. The thing is, she's still very dependent, and you still get a copy of something. So at best, she's giving you when she attacks, is making a copy. But the thing is, she's still an attack deck that's a 4-drop that's only a 3/2.
Yeah, I think C. Okay, this one.
So it's double strike. When it enters the battlefield, you get the 4/1 cat with trample. And whenever a creature dies, if it has a power greater than this, whatever, you put a number of +1 counters on it equal to the difference. So that means you get 1 counter on it if the dude's cat dies. I mean, it's double strike, but like,
Yeah, I don't like that. This is the thing that returns itself, right?
Oh, so we're looking at the Durgan.
Yep.
Let me just find him. Flash flying. When the Dracolich enters the battlefield tapped, you may cast it from your graveyard if a creature not named him died this turn. So, he reanimates himself. He's an expensive reassembling skeleton.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of this.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't really like this.
Now, Devil's Chosen. This might be one of the first ones that might be up a little bit higher. So she's whenever you roll a dice, whenever you roll 1 or more dice, she gets either flying or menace at the end of the turn. And if any of those results were 10 or higher, draw a card.
Yeah, I like her. She gets into B.
So
I think that we don't have enough rolling yet. That's like busted rolling. Like that is like really good payoffs other than drawing, but I think that there's enough to put her into B tier.
Because I do actually want to try building her too. Because there's this.
So
the thing is, one. So wait, hold on. One thing is, I'll make an argument for her. Some of the roll spells we have are like either like we have some removal spells, we have some burn spells that at worst, at the weakest, are just like, okay, just like return it to its owner's hand, or you put it on top of its owner's library, or you gain control of it to the next turn. Like there's like I think there's a decent amount enough of stuff, and like stuff like treasure's chest and whatnot, and then you could just also just run some good spell stuff to go along with it. I think there's enough because we put in a whole set around it. Maybe they're not all super great, but if I guess if we're looking just overall commander tiers, yeah, I think she's fine right there.
This guy's pretty dope. My only issue with this card is that it doesn't draw. But I mean, having a Sigardizade off the top. But I've watched Kyle play this deck and watch it just not be that useful. Like playing off the top, it's not as good as you think.
You may cast an aura equipment spell from the top of your library when you cast an equipment spell this way. I guess that like what is he playing, equipment or is he playing aura?
Equipment.
See, I would play him whenever as an aura deck over an equipment. Because I think
you just had all the equipment, which is why.
Because imagine if you're playing like the aura, because I think the auras and you get to play Enchantress builds, and Enchantress I think are a lot stronger than just Bant equipment.
No, I totally agree.
Like imagine having this in like a deck where like if you're playing off the top now, you're like you could just dig much farther.
Yeah, I mean she doesn't get to play the creatures or anything. It's not like enchantments or If it was like enchantments or artifacts, we'd be talking about a nutso card here. But it's equipment and auras only. That's what's limiting the card a lot. Because then you have to play a lot of enchantment payoffs in those kind of decks. So
well, I mean, all the enchantment payoffs are the enchantresses.
Right.
And the enchantresses,
like perfect
I mean, the enchantresses work just the same as like if you're playing just regular enchantments or auras.
No, I totally get it.
And you're just playing a Voltron deck instead.
Yeah, I think it's good enough to keep her there. But then you have the problem of, like, you know, you're playing an aura deck and you can get bodied by certain cards, but you are blue, so it shouldn't hurt too much. Like, you should be able to counterspell things or protect her really well. We also have gotten a butt ton of protection in this set, too, like in the next set. So, like, you know...
I could argue her for... I think she'd either be top B or the bottom of A.
I think top of B, just because... I don't know. I feel like her limitation is what keeps her there.
But I mean, aura decks are like like Voltron decks. That's like the best colors for it.
No. I get that, which is why she's there right now. Like, the thing is if it said enchantment, it'd be different. But just being aura and equipment, I think she stays in B.
But if you're like for playing a Voltron style, that's what you want. You don't care if it says enchantment because Voltron is.
But then you stop on like the enchantresses, or like you have to stop on anything else. Like,
but so you would too if she said enchantment, then you would also stop at the same thing.
No, because if it said enchantment, then
the enchantresses are enchantments. There's like two of them that are.
No, there's a couple. There's like 4 now.
Oh, we just got another one.
Yeah, and then there's like you can play it mostly enchant. I'm just saying, like, if this card said artifacts or enchantments, like, because you think about this card compared to like Elsha, like the way she's worded, which is non-creature spell, is a lot more that you're not going to be whiffing.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because that's just like basically the lands in that deck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's her only limiter, is that it says aura and equipment. That's it. And you're still going to be playing things that aren't auras in the deck. Like, it's not going to be like 100 auras in the deck, or else.
But you also don't have to live off the top of your deck. You're still just playing. Like,
no, I get that. But we're talking about her just like generically. I get the deck is good, but we're talking about her as a commander. Like, what does she add to the strategy? Because then you could just play Tuvasa and have a better commander. Like, to be completely honest, she's just a better commander. She gets bigger. She draws off the first enchantment you cast every turn. Like, I just think that what she does, she's like she's good right here. I get what you're saying.
But if we
I didn't even think that the aura build would be better.
Well,
it is better.
So here's then a question if we're looking at this list, because unless something is like CDH powerful, is like S even going to be a thing that we hit, or are we looking more on like a little bit?
Titch Willow. Old Dolbo. Yeah, there's S tier stuff on here for sure.
I would honestly wouldn't put her in S tier. Probably A tier.
Her? Yes. 100% S tier.
Nah, I'd say A tier.
It's blue green. I have to make infinite mana and win on the spot. Do you know how many infinite combos there are in these colors?
But then there's other commanders that are better for that. Like Thrasios is just better than that. Like, just same argument as what's her face.
It's not better. Like, it's not worded better, but Thrasios is just better because of its partner. But if you're talking about card for card, Titch Willow is the better card.
Well, because
it draws and puts a land into play from your hand, not off the top.
But Thrasios doesn't care what color you use, so she's arguably easier to use.
You're a two-color deck. You don't care. The mana doesn't matter.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Like in the same argument, there's a better commander that does what she kind of does.
She also puts the land into play untapped. Thrasios doesn't.
Yeah, but you don't really care about that if you have infinite mana. Like, if you're going that route, I have my infinite mana payoff.
But that's why she's so good. Is that just we know how good just playing Thrasios is. Like, it doesn't matter if there's a card that's slightly better. They're both an S tier card. Like, that's the same argument with, like, you look at, like, I don't know, like Golos versus Kenrith, right? Like, one of them is better, but they're both still S tier cards and are kind of similar with their payoff, like, shenanigans, like sinking mana into it. Like, just because it's similar doesn't mean that it's not S tier. There's a lot of things that make S tier. And this effect, like, just by itself, just getting to pay 4, draw, put a land into play untapped at instant speed, So like Seaborn Mew shenanigans, like all of that is on the table. It's better than like we're just talking about in this as a card, not considering like that other cards get to play more colors. We don't have to compare them to other commanders. I was just making an example about how I felt about this card, like why when you're thinking about generic strategies versus like what the commander's adding. Like this is just good on its own, no matter what you put it in. Like we just put it in our 5-color deck just because the payoff is so powerful.
Well, that's because the rest of the deck is was really powerful.
Yeah, but like you play a lot of mana doublers, like there's so many ways to abuse this card. And if you're playing a lands matter deck, this commander's really good. Like you could just put Tatiova and all the other lands matter cards in this deck, and like Derek, if you have Nixbloom Ancient,
then Tatio is a better landfall commander.
Yeah, but they're still S tier because she's still a payoff.
I think she's just kind of like a middle ground of most of them, and she would be more in like the top of A. S tier to me is something that is like.
I think this card's better than Kanan.
No. No way.
Well, just because like for a payoff,
because Kanan is like instant like mana doubling. You get the value out of him right away. She's only as good as what's in your deck. Like people play ramp. That's like Green's thing. And having a command like Kenan's like okay, they now all tap for double.
But we're talking about how the deck plays because that's all we talked about for this one.
But like she doesn't like I said like he does something 2 cards. She is just a card. That's where I think the difference is.
You're talking about like if you're playing a lands deck in these colors. This is an amazing lands commander. And then also all the combos that you can do. If you have 2 mana doublers, you can just play every land from your hand. Like if you have a Nixbloom Ancient and a mana doubler, you could just pay for it and put lands into play.
But we also could say that sometimes that like stuff like Explore or Growth Spiral are sometimes cards that we end up cutting because like sometimes we just don't hit the land drops and it's just drawing a card.
And you play Derek in the land strategy. You're playing 40 of them. You're not gonna miss a land.
I get that. Like I play in the what's her face just because sometimes it hits, but sometimes it's just 2 mana draw a card, which I guess that's at worst it's not the worst. But she's 4 mana draw.
2 mana draw card is amazing.
Yeah, but she's 4 mana draw a card.
Yeah, but it's
then put a land.
4 mana's like turn 2. Like it's easy. Like I just think that the way that Simic plays this card is amazing, and like any infinite mana, you just auto win the game. Like that's immediately
that's true in any deck though.
But not all these commanders. This doesn't win the game with infinite mana. I'm talking about in the command zone, it wins the game. None of these commanders win the game with infinite mana. Maybe this one actually, but you have to pay a butt ton of life.
I mean, then the other dude's like you're probably just infinitely playing spells and drawing cards. The other one. If you have infinite mana on any of these, like
but your commander isn't the okay. But like, let's say you have no cards in hand.
Azerik wins with infinite mana.
What?
Azerik, the Lich, because you just infinitely play him and as Mad Mage through your entire deck.
Yeah, I get that.
So if we're talking about we have infinite mana, then he should also be up top.
Black deck versus a Simic deck, like with this card, it's way harder to pull that off. Like, it's easier to combo and kill somebody in black than it is to make infinite mana in black. Like, it's easier to just Mike and Shrike or, like, Walking Ballista or just kill them with, like, a Blood Artist and, like, a Yawgmoth than it is to actually make infinite mana in black. Because then you need a Phyrexian Altar also while you're comboing. You need, like, 3 or 4 pieces to pull that off.
Or you just do the 2 mana.
Usually just 2 pieces.
Or the 2 artifact combo.
Also, it's blue-green, so it's just better. Like, the color combo is just better. Easier to pull off combos for infinite mana, anyway. Like, black probably can sneak combos easier because of Buried Alive, but that's just winning on the spot. Like, you can say that about any black deck you can play that in. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what the commander strategy would be like. And this would be a lands deck, and lands decks are ridiculous. And there's so many ways to infinite combo. Like, Palancron plus, like, Deadeye Navigator, you just auto-win, so you just win off Tooth and Nail, like a 1-card win, and then this is the payoff. You don't even need anything to do with it. Like, you just play it. Like, you can't compare that to, like, if you play Rashmi. Like, Rashmi doesn't just win with infinite mana. Like, this does. And also, it's just a degenerate mana sink for landfall decks. You're like, oh, I got 40 mana up in a Gaia's Cradle. Yeah, let me sink it all in and then play and draw a million cards. Like, I was debating putting this in Tatiova because I do play Gaia's Cradle now. So, like, I was thinking about playing this as a mana sink because I'm also playing Nixbloom Ancient. So, like, it's good to have just, like, a mana sink to have as, like, a card to play. and these just play the lands in for free. So every time I could almost just like go infinite on lands because I draw so many lands, and like I could sack lands and replay them. Like I don't know, I feel like this card's just way too good.
I wouldn't put it in
Like
S tier though. S tier for me is like top tier potential of a commander and what they do, and like she's only as good as what your deck is. Where like other commanders are just like good on their own for what they do, and that's where my argument's saying.
I don't think so. I think she is good on her own. For what are you talking about? Drawing a card and putting a land into play is good.
But then
It's good on its own. People play. Have you seen how highly played Thrasios? Like Thrasios is played.
Well, it's because no, the big difference is because she says landfall, and landfall in itself has always been really powerful.
Not Timna. I'm not talking about Tatiova.
Oh, sorry.
I'm talking about Thrasios. Thrasios has a ton of play on EDH, Rick.
What?
Because people just like the player in decks. I guess she's colorless, but like it's basically the same card. And the thing about Thrasios is she's
It's funny, but nobody plays Thrasios as just a commander by itself.
No, there's definitely Thrasios decks.
There's 54 that have been designed on EDH Rec. That they're just mono Thrasios.
Well, yeah, I mean, Thrasios is also more like a CDH commander, but it's just the ability to pay mana and draw a card is just so good. It's so powerful.
Then why isn't just mono Thrasios also just like a super popular build over like even
because it's not partner because you just play the other colors because you can like you know, but the Thrasios. The thing is because it has partner, like Thrasios can be a lot more degenerate because it gets to play like black and white or like red or like whatever you want to play. So like Thrasios just gets to be more. So Thrasios, I already said that Thrasios is a better card than this, like just for the sheer fact that it has partner. But like these are basically almost the same card, and this is better in a landfall deck because it lets you play the land and the land is untapped. It also lets you play it from your hand, which is better than playing it off the top because it's letting you draw first and then playing an additional land each turn. So like in a landfall deck, that's amazing. Like that kind of value is amazing because landfall decks are already so stupid.
And like Thrasios paired with Kaidel in just blue-green has less play than the Quandrix Dragon.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Thrasios as played as a command.
But say now you have a thing that generates a ton of mana for you by drawing that you could dump into Thrasios, and people are still like, I'd rather play bad Quandrix Dragon over it.
Yeah, because people want to play fun cards and not to generate combo commanders. Because the only thing that you're going to do with this commander is play like a combo and win. That's why. That's why you don't see them as much. You see the fun commanders like Gishath and like, like the dumb ones that people can build easily and don't have to play like a ton of infinite combos. Like, because this commander is ridiculous. Like, you can play all the things that make the mana cost less, play all the things that untap your lands, play all the mana doublers, play the landfall creatures. Like, I'm seeing a deck where this deck is ridiculous. Like, and almost impossible to beat. Like, just playing Simic and having that mana sink is insane. And the tutors that you get the exact creatures you need. Like, it's super easy to win. Like, one tooth and nail and the game is over.
But what it sounds is like sounds like is the deck is good, less than she is.
But you made the point about this also, the Enchantress deck trying to make this go to A.
Well, because playing around auras, what auras are, or equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and the reason
she doesn't have a X thing. She's just draw a card, play land. So she herself doesn't have landfall trigger. You'd have to play landfall stuff. She herself doesn't go infinite. You have to make an infinite combo in the deck.
Yeah, but
my argument for the other dude,
like Tassiger's basically the same thing.
Because Tassiger yeah, exactly. But that's why I'm saying Tassiger's only as good as the deck he's in. Like Tassiger himself is just kind of okay.
No, Tassiger's a great card. If you build around the card, it's still an amazing.
But like when I'm looking at these and like are like it's just like what does the commander do for like what does the commander do? And that's the reason why I made the argument for the aura guy because it actually is keyword around the actual strategy, and helps you dig into that strategy.
And land strategy, it puts lands into play. It's a Simic deck.
If you play land stuff, she herself isn't related to
but
like
what
he
else are you
herself
gonna
doesn't have
do?
landfall.
But who? It doesn't have to have landfall
Oh,
on the card.
because what if I want to play a sea creature deck, and I guess she could play her as a commander that help get like ramp me into play
Yeah,
and
but you
draw
would
into
want to
stuff.
play like a Morphon deck or like a Kraken as the commander. Like you wouldn't play that. It's all flavor. But you can also just play some of these commanders as just like good cards. Like that. She doesn't have to be good in every deck strategy to be an S tier commander. She could just be good in the one she does. It's not like Chulane is played in every fucking deck strategy. Like she's just good because she's good. She does one thing well, that's creatures. It's not like everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna play Chulane Krakens because I'm gonna play it.
I'll say for the adventure for the D&D set, she could be S tier.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah.
But in the overall commander list, if you're looking at like everything, I wouldn't put her in S.
I don't know, man.
Because then I think she's missing some colors and is missing just a generic ability.
Or we put Thrasios in S.
Well, because we put Thrasios paired with what's her face in S, not by herself. We talked about the partners. I think when we talked about like, didn't we drop it lower when we were just talking about the card by itself?
Yeah, well, we dropped Tymna down really low, but Thrasios still stayed up there. Like Thrasios stayed above Kanan because they're basically the same commander. Like Thrasios, like you get to do the same stuff Kanan does. Like just because Kanan is the other enabler, like doesn't mean Kanan's payoff is as good. Like Kanan is like harder to pull off. Like Thrasios, like I said, just one tooth and nail. Like the game is usually over, especially in a landfall deck. And landfall decks are just too good as is. Like I play Tatiova and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like even if Tatiova wasn't the commander, the landfall deck would still be good. Like, and you put her in the command zone, she's not as good as Tatiova. And the only thing that loses to like Thrasios is the fact that you don't have the colors, and that's it. Like this card getting to draw and put a card in. Like Mike is making this deck right now. Also, like if you play Training Ground or like any of the stuff that makes this cost less, like it starts getting silly. Like you just play Tatiova in the deck, like land decks win on their own.
But it kind of comes to that thing where like we could take her out and put a different person as the commander, and the deck would still perform super well. I don't think that speaks to how good she is. Maybe she is just as a somewhat of an enabler. But say if you just put like you had those landfall decks and you just put Rashmi as the commander. Sure, maybe it's a little bit slower, but you get now an extra draw just from playing spells, or get an extra free spell, and the deck still just kind of does its own
but when
thing.
you make infinite mana, you don't win on the spot. Rashmi doesn't just make you win. You have to find a way to win.
But if you
that requires like 3 or 4 cards. If you're
gonna tell me that a green-blue deck doesn't have any type of way to get a value after making infinite mana.
Right. But what I'm saying is like, let's just say, just in general, like you only have the tooth and nail, or like you have your combo, but you don't have cards in hand. Like you can't just expect that you're going to be in Magical Christmas Land all the time. So if you make your combo and you get infinite mana, see, this is why like cards like Urza and Kenrith and like Golos are so good, because once you go infinite, you win the game because you cast the same thing with Tasigur. Once you cast the commander, the game is over. Like I just started playing Freed from Loreel and Thrasios, and I realized how powerful that is. Like once you go off with Boreal Druid or Sanctum Weaver, you just win the game because you're going to cast the commander and draw your library. And the effect is good enough, and the like ability to win like on the spot when you make an infinite combo, which how many infinite combos are in green blue? Like I can't even count. There's so many ways to make infinite mana in green blue. Like it's a joke. Like it's too easy. And then like with one card win cons, like with Tooth and Nail, which in a land deck you're gonna be able to cast that card insanely early. You can play Boseiju to make it uncounterable. You're blue, so you can counter the interaction. Like I just think this commander is good. For sure.
It's good.
This thing though, it's like
it's
this thing.
It's Thassa's Biden, but also protects them. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return to its owner's hand, and whenever one more creatures you control to accomplish a player, draw a card. I kind of like him.
Yeah, I don't know where I'd put him though. Like, what are you doing, like unblockable creatures or like?
No, here's where I think you play him: is you run really annoying ETB creatures and you attack with them. So you either get to deal damage and I get to draw a bunch of cards, or you block them and now I get to use all their ETB. Like, imagine me attacking you with a Venser and getting to draw a card off of it. And if you try to block them, I put Venser back into my hand, or I put any of those type of creatures back into my hand. I think that's where he ends up shining. Is like he's just a kind of an awkward like attack trigger ETB deck. That's how I would see him as.
Yeah.
Better.
I was gonna pick him up for Kadena.
Better in the 99. I put him in Rogues.
Oh yeah, he's really good in Rogues. This thing just doubles the trigger of room abilities. I think this is kind of ass.
Yeah, it's only good for Venture decks.
This thing
is Flying Vigilance. When he dies, create Icing Death, Frost Tongue, a legendary white equipment artifact token creature with equipped creature is +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and equip 2. So I wouldn't call it good.
No, that sounds good.
It dies, you get a legendary equipment. So that means if it dies again, you don't get to even use it.
Man, a lot of the commanders in this, like, we did not put this many things in D tier when we did like the last couple lists.
No.
Like, there's a lot of bad commanders.
Inferno, the star mounts is this spell can't be countered. Flying Haste and 1 red. It gets +1/+0 at the end of the turn. When its power becomes 20 this way, it deals 20 damage to any target.
Yeah, no, that's a meme. Definitely a meme. And the blue dragon.
So flying, it has Ward 4 as long as it's untapped. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then if you have fewer than 3 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. So 5 mana, 5/5 flying that draws you a card on attack. But the thing is, he loses his ward, or her ward when she attacks.
I still think it's better than all these.
Yeah.
I think it ends up at the bottom of there. This commander is actually really good.
Oh,
I watched him play in the command zone. This is the one with the treasures.
Create treasure token. Other creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1 counter on them for each mana from treasures spent the castle. Actually, I like that. Yeah, we have so much treasure support now that's very, very doable. We already had a decent amount of treasures to begin with.
This actually goes there. And I think this was pretty strong when I saw it play out. I think it might go there. We do have a lot of treasure stuff, but it just makes things big, you know? It's not like...
But Red Black's whole thing is to attack. And remember, we have stuff like Goldspan Dragon and like Dockside.
Yeah. No,
Yo, did I tell you I played against the Magda deck? Thing is bonkers. Magda's the dwarves get +1/+0, and whenever they become tapped, you get a treasure, and then sack 5 treasures to tutor a dragon.
Oh yes, yeah, that deck's ridiculous.
You know what was stupid? It was Vastwood Nexus naming dwarves, so all dragons are now dwarves. Like what?
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
So I
think she lands here, somewhere around these. I don't even know how I feel about this dude completely, but I mean, he does technically draw cards. You just have to take some damage. Like, I think that's good enough to keep him in this tier.
This Beholder.
I think that because of the strategy that this is playing in, like, enchantments alone is an A tier commander.
So Krazakar, the Eye Tyrant. Whenever you attack a player, tap target creature that player controls and goad it. Whenever opponent attacks another one of your opponents, and the attacking player each draw a card and lose 1 life. It didn't say draw a card. I would like this guy a lot more, but I don't like because he lets them draw a card. The goading and all that is really cool. I still think there's some weird shenanigans with like that, but like I don't know. I don't like giving them card advantage. You know me.
Yeah, I think that lands there. I don't like him. This thing though.
So
I mean, I guess you could play it as a commander.
Oh, this thing. So yeah, Flying Haste.
Kind of insane.
Whenever it attacks, you add X mana any combination of colors, where X is the total power of attacking creatures. Spend this mana only to cast spells. Any other turn, you don't lose mana as steps and phases end. So
like this is pretty crazy.
He is flying in haste and 7 mana for 4/4, but like green red creatures are big. He's gonna attack and make you lots of mana. We already have like that random mono red creature, like the zombie minotaur thing that gives you red mana. We saw how much what that thing does.
The Heb, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the new rogue.
Which I did put into my deck. Whenever Cradle of Baldur's Gate deals combat damage to a player. That player loses 1 life and mills the card. Then you gain 1 life and scry 1. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2. If you do, target creature can't be blocked this turn.
He's all right.
So by himself, yeah, he's in the 99. He's not really a commander for like rogues. But whenever you attack, you may pay 2 if you do. So the things where I think he's basically becomes a rogue's passage. So if you have a deck where like you have creatures that want to hit, he's a 2-mana rogue's passage by himself. Because he doesn't have to attack to get that effect. It's just whenever you attack, you may pay 2. If you do, target creature can't be blocked this turn.
Yeah, I think that's good enough to get him here. Because there's probably like some infect shit that you can do that's really annoying. Like Skitherix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this guy, what does this guy do?
Or Vorpal Sword. Anyway.
Yeah, Vorpal. Oh, God.
So he's he's the 7-mana 6/6 flying. Whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may pay life equal to its mana value. If you do, put it onto the battlefield under your control. It's a Warlock in addition to its other types. If a Warlock you control would die, exile it instead. So he's kind of like a Grave Betrayal that you have to pay life for. But when it dies, it gets exiled for good. I guess it depends.
I don't like that too much.
It's basically one of those things, same things where it kind of revolves around. It is also does say put into the graveyard from anywhere. So even if it's from another way, but like it really just depends on how good your opponent's decks are, and sometimes they're not.
Yeah, I don't really like this. Do you think C or D?
I still think it because I think he's good enough to like still be a really janky reanimator.
Okay.
I think I actually put him above the other reanimator because the other guy has to reanimate only yourself, and it's a really tricky way to do it. At least he's getting anything.
Okay. What's this thing?
So this thing is actually really cool. It's 3 mana, 1/3. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, you get a 1/1 blue illusion creature that gets +1/+0 for each other illusion you control. And then whenever an illusion you control dies, you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the creature's power from your hand onto the battlefield.
Oh, that's actually kind of ridiculous.
There's also an infinite
really
count.
Good.
There's also an infinite count combo with it to make infinite mana. With that,
see, and those kind of things make commanders stronger to me, which is the same argument I was making with Titch Willow. Is like if the commander is the payoff, or you have a payoff with a commander, it immediately makes it stronger.
So here's how the combo works. There's this called Melaku, the Clouded Mirror. It's a 2/4.
You think it gets here? You think so?
Maybe because even just on this other side, it makes illusions. It makes illusions huge, and if the illusions get blocked, they die. You get to put in something for free.
And they're always 1/0s, right? So Skull Clamp works.
Oh, they're always like at least something ones. But anyway, check this out.
Yeah.
So Melaku, the Clouded Mirror, is 1 mana, return a land you control to its owner's hand, to put a 1/1 blue illusion creature token with flying in the battlefield. So you pay 1, you get an illusion, right? You can either use Phyrexian Altar or Ashnod's Altar, sack that token to make 2 colorless. A 1 mana, a 1 power illusion died. You get to put that land back into play untapped, tap it for blue, use one of the colorless you made to return it to your hand to make that illusion again. So you always generate 1 blue and 1 colorless every activation to make infinite.
Wait, so how does it keep making an illusion?
Melaku, the Clouded Mirror, is the other one.
Oh, the one that makes the 1/1.
Yeah, she makes a 1/1 right, returning it to your hand.
Right. Okay, got it. Yeah.
We also remember Murmuring Mystic is a makes 1/1 blue illusion creature tokens that do that Magecraft kind of dude. And her illusions get +1/+0 for each other illusion you control. So I think there's a lot of potential with her.
I think so too. I think the abusing of permanence into play is kind of insane.
Yep. So we have
I'm wondering
Minx.
if these two get up here or not. Just because I mean this just feels ridiculous.
No, I think he's still a lot. It's a lot of mana that you make with it. At most, you're making 4 mana just off of him that doesn't fade away, and that's if you have no other creatures in play. And usually, you're a creature-based deck in those colors.
And we've seen how good Xenaghost is, or just the cool commanders have been recently. And then maybe it's just, are the dice rolling things good enough to push it here?
You know what? I kind of say there. It's a mixed bag. So like, let's just kind of look through, like, just say some of like the top ones we have.
I know one makes a fairy.
So
One
we have.
deals damage.
So we have one that's draw 2 cards, scry 2, draw 2 cards, scry 3, draw 4 cards. That is any of the 4 mana instant speed, draw 2 cards, and it's just you roll and there's more options. We have the whenever you roll one more dice, we get a 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature token with flying. We have Wizard Spellbook. The Pixie Guides one that gives us so Windseer. When enters the battlefield, you scry 1, scry 2, or scry 3. Power of Persuasion is return choose target creature an opponent controls, return to its owner's hand, put it on top of its owner's library, or gain control of it to the end of the turn. The Fireball is like deals 2 damage. With this 5 damage to target creature, then 2 damage to each player or 2 damage to each opponent. We have you may enter the battlefield, choose our instant sorcery card in your graveyard, either put it on top of your library or into your hand. Cone of Cold is we have tap target creature or it doesn't untap. We have
Also, there's a Splinter Twin combo, right?
Yep. We have Diviner's Portent, which is roll d20 to add a number of cards in your hand. The draw X cards or scry X and draw X cards at instant speed, so it's basically Blue Sun Zenith
With a bonus.
with a bonus. Critical hit. We have Treasure Chest, which is just the one is the worst one where you lose 3 life, or you get a treasure, draw 3 cards, or you search for
There's
an
also,
artifact
like,
card.
50-foot route, right?
Yep. So if you get the nat 20, you get to search for an artifact card. You put Almart's Archive, so you get to draw 2 cards every time you roll a 10 or higher. Component Pouch. We have Components Pouch, which is really cool. Arcane Investigator is just the